Hey guys, this is Matt with the 4x4 Ranch, and today we're going to install the ARB twin motor compressor in our first edition Bronco here using the 4x4 truck LEDs mounting bracket. Now I just want to say right off the bat that we were not sponsored by 4x4 truck LEDs or by ARB in any way. We bought these things right off the marketplace like anybody else did. We didn't get a discount. So we're going to show you how it is to install it and tell you what we think. For starters, this is what we get in the box. When we unpack the box, we get the main bracket, we get a support bracket, we get a little bit of hardware and instructions. That's what comes with the mounting bracket. And of course, with our ARB compressor, we get the compressor, some instructions. We get a lot of miscellaneous wiring, some of which we're going to need, most of which we're not, because we have the built-in wiring in the Bronco that we're going to be taking advantage of, and we got a little bit of hardware that we'll be using there. So this is the ARB twin compressor that should be able to keep up with our airflow needs and be mounted easily under the hood. So the first step is going to be to install the support bracket. This is going to go right on top of the strut, and then it's going to be mounted vertically to support our main brace. What we're going to do here is this mounts actually to, here's our strut, top of our strut. There's a strut bolt right there. We're going to want to get an extension with a 15mm socket, get that on there, and we're going to loosen this thing up so that we're going to be able to slide that bracket underneath that. Once this is loosened enough, this bracket has actually got a notch in it, so it'll just slide right under that nut. Then we'll slide that under, tighten it in place, and then we'll be able to go on to the next step. The next step is going to be to mount the compressor to the bracket. Now there's two things we need to do here. One, we want to rotate this. This is the outlet. The outlet's going straight up right now. That's going to go too close to the hood, so we're going to want to rotate this down to about 45 degrees. And then we're also going to want to bolt this onto the bracket. So there's holes in the bracket, there's holes in the bottom of the compressor. So we're going to take this cover off and to do this rotating and get everything bolted in. Once we have the bolts loose, then we can take the cover off the compressor by just pulling it out on this side. And then once you get it cleared past the motor, then you can push it forward to unlatch from this side, and then you can just turn it away. We can disconnect these two connectors if we need to get all the way out. Now we'll pull this plug off, and we can loosen up this bolt on the end and rotate this over about 45 degrees, so we'll get a little bit more hood clearance. All right, now we've put the cover back on. We rotated the outlet, so it's at 45 degrees. We put the cover back on. We tightened up the 4 bolts here and put the connectors back on. Next step is going to be to flip this over and mount it to our bracket. With the ARB compressor came some hardware. It was in a bag that came with the switch we won't be using, but this has got the hardware, some rubber grommets that we'll be able to use to mount things together. The next step here will be to mount this bracket. We flip the compressor over, put the bracket on. You can see how the outside 4 holes line up. We've got the twin screw compressor, so the twin compressor uses the outside holes, the single uses the inside holes. All right, now we've got the compressor securely mounted to the bracket. So let's go back to the Bronco and start mounting the bracket up. So the next step will be to remove these 3 bolts, which are 8mm nuts. We remove those and then we'll put that bracket in there. All right, now we've loosened the bracket here that the original computer is sitting on, and we set our ARB compressor mount bracket down on top of the support bracket, and it's just hanging here loosely. Now there's this extra spacer. We need to put this spacer in here in between the original bracket so that that tab has a space to mount up and our bracket, and then we can put the original bolts back in. All right, now I've tightened these 2 bolts that go in here so the bracket's on there, and I'm really impressed. This thing is solid. It doesn't move around at all. It fits in here nicely. There's space around it to work. Looks like it was meant to be there, other than I'm not really crazy about this wiring, but that's an ARB thing. Then the wires I took, connected the wiring harness that came with it here, ran it across the back there. I'll clip those ties off over to this side, and the next step is going to be to connect those wires to my battery and to the switches, which the output for the switches are right there. And now just to show how we wrap this up, we hooked our wiring connectors here. We ran them across the back. We'll zip tie that up real tight against the existing wiring harness. Brought it up here. You can see Ford provides us a convenient power source in the front here. So we just put a copper end on there. Something you can just pick up at AutoZone, crimped and soldered that on. And then on this side, they provide us a nice spot here. So we put an end on the two ground wires. And then all we had to do was grab the purple wire, and we're gonna cut this off and clean it up. I'll just show you here. The purple wire coming off of the smaller wiring harness that came with the ARB I connected it to number 6, which is the orange, or it says yellow and orange. I would call that orange and red and with my eyes, but that's auxiliary 6. It's only 10 amp. That's all I need. I'm going to trim all this stuff up, tape it up, and heat shrink this. And then all we got to do at this point is flip our auxiliary switch and we can run the pump. I'm really impressed with how this worked out. This is really solid. It doesn't move around at all. It looks good. It fits in there. It stays out of the way. I'm very happy with the product so far. We'll see how it goes when I'm driving it. But if you like what you see, we'll keep doing more of these videos. So make sure you like and subscribe.